that might be a bit quiet actually. Just looking at the sound. Let me just make sure that the stream is correctly labelled, because otherwise we get a load of pricks in here going, it's not trades, you said you were doing trades, you said you were doing trades, and you're not doing trades, So, yeah, it's always best to check that kind of thing. Oh look, I've got an echo, shut up. Yep, tasks and categories are all set. This is my ASP Explorer, my exploration ship, my faithful exploration ship that I've pretty much done all my exploring in. As you can see, it carries the ID PSB01 because I'm a fucking nerd. But more importantly, it has been renamed. Originally this was the PSB, the PSB. It briefly became Euronews Tracked, but of course the actual name that it deserves is, of course, David Braben did a poo. Some would say that David Braben has done another poo in the release of Elite Dangerous Odyssey. I couldn't possibly comment. A lot of the stuff people are complaining about, to be fair, is stuff that I don't do, so I don't care. Right, so I'm gonna just fly around scanning shit and landing on shit and whatever. Like, come along, don't come along, whatever. I'll just do a little tweet. And away we go. Oh, dramatic music jumps in there. Because we got you started. Okay. I'm actually on the external camera mode. I can get off that by doing this. And we're back in the ship. So, I jumped into this system last night, and if I recall correctly, there's something to scan on a planet surface here. Biological 1, none. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I know what there is to scan. These worlds are terraformable, so they need scanning, or they need mapping. So I'll go and map those. Just turn that audio down a little bit so you stand a chance of hearing me over that charging. Having not done Elite before, or, well, I tell a lie, I think I have done it. It might have only been in a YouTube video. It was that long ago, when it first came out, 2014, I may have only just done a couple of YouTube videos of it, and been long before I was doing any kind of streaming. Yeah, that's very loud in my ears. I don't know what it's like in your ears, but it's a bit loud in mine. There we go. Get copyright strikes now for playing the Elite music. You gotta love Elite's anti-aliasing, or lack of. This is... Let me just check my resolution set to. It might be doing something weird. No, it is set correctly. Okay, well, it's just the downscale looked a bit weird, but I suppose it's downscaled to 1080p and it's also in a little window on OBS, so whatevs. So, I basically stopped playing Elite Dangerous when this scanning... well, I was kind of not really playing it much anyway. Then this scanning mechanic came in and I kind of gave it up for a while. Like 4 years or something. I played it quite a lot before then. But now I'm back out exploring again because there's more stuff to see, there's more stuff to do, and also it pleases me. It pleases me to do so. I feel pleased. Like I say, there's not going to be too much interesting about this. It's just me flying, scanning, flying, scanning, flying, scanning, maybe looking at the galaxy map and then flying and scanning some more. So for me, it's great. It's very relaxing. You're just floating around the galaxy, scanning things and seeing what you can see, seeing what you find. It's not exactly people battering Thargoids or combat or on foot combat or whatever else, so I am unashamedly tedious with the way I play Elite Dangerous. So out here in the black, I haven't even got guns fitted to the ship because there ain't anybody out here but me. Which is the way it goes when you're exploring. So we fire off some probes, they map the surface, and then we go to the next planet and do the same. So whenever you're exploring Elite Dangerous, you're looking for a handful of things that produce huge amounts of money. You're looking for terraformable planets or terraforming candidates. If you find a water world that's a terraforming candidate, it will give you a massive payout. High metal content worlds that are terraforming candidates, quite a high payout. If you find Earth-like worlds, so basically a world that's got a load of life going and it's a bit like Earth, water, greenery and all that, that's the highest payout. And then there are bonuses on top of that for being the first person to discover it, the first person to map it, which is me sticking all the probes on it, as you'll see occasionally when something's worth mapping, and then being the first person to... No, that's it. First mapped and first discovered. So first mapped and first discovered you can only get once you sell the data back. So in theory somebody could steal all my exploration work and go and sell it before me, but whatever. It's not really that likely. And if they do, then they do. I'd still get some money from it, just not quite as much. So what else is there to say? Not a lot really, that's it. Search for certain types of planets, scan them, next system. It's all very humdrum and boring. And then when you eventually get back to a station to sell it all, you get some money for the systems you've scanned, and you go and do it again, and again, and again. And I've done that so much, I'm elite at it. But only like first level elite. They've added for like 5 new elite levels now, so I want to get my rank ups to elite 1 or elite 2 or elite 3 or elite 4 or elite 5, but that might be a little while, I'm assuming. It's very it's quite like the Mass Effect probe thing, this is. Once you've got 90% of the surface scanned, it sort of completes the rest, and then off you go. Go, and then ping, all done. So you see the planet's got a horrible shade of blue now. What that indicates is there is something down there, and the blue patterning shows you where it is. So in this case we've got bacterial colonies. System map. And if I have a look on the planet's information there, it says there's like 1 biological life form. And then if you look on the organics, you can see what you've scanned from that planet. There's a bit of a bug in that it like shows you the number +1 at the moment, but that's the least of anybody's worries, I think, to fix. So what we can do then is fly down to the surface and scan some organic life. Now, organics are a similar deal to the other scanning. You get a bonus if you're the first person to log that organism on that planet. But they're not actually worth a great deal at the moment. And it takes quite a while to do the logging, so it's a bit of a... It's a little bit like exploration used to be at the beginning, where they massively bumped up the actual payouts for exploration data, like a little while after Elite Dangerous started, just to make it a bit more viable. Because even now, you'll come in, you'll get like a couple of 100 million credits, but you'll have put in literally days of travel and warping and all the rest of it to get there. Whereas with combat, you can go and find a Thargoid and knock its head off, and you'll get however many million in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, rather than literally hours. So exploration's a little bit about luck in terms of finding decent systems, but exploration is also about finding efficiency, rather. So it's about not wasting your time scanning shit that isn't worth anything. So to give you an example, like barren ice worlds are worth about 500 credits if you spot them, and then if you fully scan them, they're worth 5,000 credits. Given the time it takes to fly all over the system scanning everything, it's not worth scanning ice planets. Whereas these planets like this that are terraformable candidates, if you ping them, they're like 20,000, 30,000 or whatever, and then if you scan them, they're like 1.5 million credits if you then sell that data. And obviously that's bumped up by the fact that, if you've discovered them first. But yeah, the life forms I've seen, I think the most I've got for a life form so far is 500,000 for a specific one. Now obviously that bumps up because you get planets with lots of different life forms, but yeah, let's just land. So these patches on the ground are what bacterial colonies look like. Now sometimes they are like this, and they're really, really obvious and easy to see. And sometimes they're basically exactly the same colour as the stuff they're on. Oh, I'm first person to land on this world, or first person recorded. And sometimes they are quite hard to see. But these are pretty easy. It shouldn't take long to get these scanned and then move on to the next system. I think Bacterium Cerberus is one of the slightly higher paying out. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a high payout. I think it's about 100,000 credits. But you have to scan 3 different colonies enough space apart. So you can't just kind of just scan once and that's it. That may change, I suspect. Either that's got to change or the payouts have got to change, because at the moment the whole scanning thing is a bit unbalanced. See it more as just a bit of a nice little add-on that you can do while you're doing the normal exploration, rather than a viable career in and of itself at the moment, because to find the life forms to scan, you've pretty much got to go through the whole exploration loop anyway. So proper exobiology is a bit of an add-on to exploring, I reckon, at the moment. It's not a distinct career like the mercenary stuff is that they've put in for on-foot travel. Personal opinion, like, innit? That's what I reckon. That's how I'm playing it. Unsuitable trade on the ship. Come on, there we go. Oh, come on, this isn't even a difficult place to land. Fine, I'll walk a bit further. Out we get, off we go. So I've got the what's called the Artemis suit. There are lots of different, well, there's 3 or 4 different types of suit that you can wear. So the Artemis suit has this genetic sampler tool. So you can go ping, and it tells you if there's any life nearby. And if you can sample it, it goes green. If it's too close to other stuff, it'll go blue. and if you already sampled it goes a different shade of blue, and if it's a life form that you can sample, you haven't sampled yet but you're in the middle of doing something else because you can only do one at a time, then it goes purple. But yeah, bacterium are usually can be quite annoying, so I don't usually bother, but because we're here, why not? I think one difference I've noticed from when I was exploring stuff and I am exploring stuff now is obviously there's been 3 or 4 years of exploration done, so it's you have to go a little bit further out or a little bit further off the beaten path to find stuff that hasn't been discovered. Exobiology is fine because nobody's been around and scanned everything on the ground yet, so you'll get pretty much first discovery all the time on the stuff on the ground, but the system itself has usually been scanned, and most things of value have been mapped if you're on like the main routes from throughout the galaxy. Which is weird because there's like still only 2.5% of the galaxy or whatever discovered, if that. It's just that it's more efficient to go in a straight line from one place to another. Everybody uses the same route planning on the galaxy map, so it tends to plot the same courses for people, so everyone sort of tends to go down the same corridor when you're flying. So you'll ping through similar systems to everybody else has been doing for the last however many years. There we go, that's our Bacterium Cerberus scanned. Get up on top of the spaceship now. We can do this now, thanks to the power of the expansion. You see my lovely ship there. David Braben did a poo. Doo-dah, doo-dah. David Braben did a poo. I've got my Explorer Elite decals on because it's the only elite I have, and probably only elite rating I'll ever have. Maybe trading one day, but basically it shows I'm the most tedious of elite players possible, being exploration and elite. It's not for everybody. There we go, off the surface, landing gear up and up into the sky. And we need to go to the galaxy map to replot our route. So in terms of where I am at the moment, I'm out here. Ooh, if you can see in the galaxy map. The sun and sol are over here somewhere. And you can see these bookmarks of places I've been before, or routes I've sort of plotted out before. So you can see I've been out before to the centre of the galaxy. I've been to Sagittarius A star in the middle of the galaxy where there is the black hole modelled. I've been out to this area over here where there's a load of colonies, so this is called Colonia. This area, you can see the system named Colonia there. So there's like a whole bunch of colonies out there now, just away from the main centre of humanity. And then you've got the galactic core. The galactic core, if you want to go exploring, basically, there's so many stars in there, you're bound to be finding first discovered all the time. Out here, stars are a bit less dense. Route plotting certainly is a bit more annoying and tricky to do because the density is much lower. So sometimes you won't be able to plot a route in a straightforward way. And yeah, this is where we are. This is where we're going. I'm heading kind of towards this system here, if I can get anywhere near it, because there's meant to be a big fleet carrier there for resupply. And then the current plan is to head all the way around the sort of spiral arm, maybe come up here, and up here there's like the furthest system from Sol, called Beagle's Point. But that's going to be probably months of tootling around and flying about. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on doing the whole thing. I'm kind of just back and forth at the moment. The problem is, if I want to go and what's the word, do the on-foot stuff with any reliability or take part in that stuff, I'll have to go back to maybe the populated systems where there are actual missions and stuff to do for on-foot, and there's actual on-foot places to visit. The problem with obviously being in unexplored space is there's nobody out here to give you missions. It's just purely fly scan, fly scan, fly scan. Ooh, make me take a screenshot. And like I say, it's a case of, it can be a bit tedious, but I'm a very tedious person. So yeah, this is a current bug. It seems to lose routing when you swap between high speed and normal speed. There's a lot of stars in there. That's alright, we can just manually set it. Time to jump to the next system. In the Slyapes area. They're all kind of procedurally named because obviously 200 billion stars, you're going to run out of names pretty quick. Right, what have we got here? So this first step once you jump into a system is you fire a discovery scanner, which makes that sort of Reaper noise. So that fires out a ping and tells you what else is in the system, and then there's this detailed spectrum scanner that you can sort of tune in and scout around and see if you can spot anything else on the scope. However, there's only stars in this system, so we've basically discovered everything in here that there is to discover. I'm going to fuel scoop. So a fuel scoop is you can refuel by scooping hydrogen off the star or out of the atmosphere of the star as it's getting blasted out towards you. I am not and remain to be convinced that you would ever actually have something that could get this close to a star happily, but also the star is a little bit, you know, the effects on it and stuff, it's a little bit not bright enough. But maybe it's an extremely well shielded canopy. Anyway, nothing to see here, but I've refueled, so we're not going to run out of fuel if I jump into the next system. I'm just waiting to get away from the star so we can make it jump without overheating the ship. And that's it. Jump, scan, jump, scan, jump, scan. And the fact that it doesn't actually require a lot of mental bandwidth means on your second screen, if you have such a thing, or even before I had such a thing like an iPad or something, you could have Netflix sat there going, happily watching away something, doing something else at the same time. It's great, you can multitask it. It used to be even less interactive than this. It used to require even less brain power. But they kind of made it a bit more interactive now. So here we go, 21 bodies found. So there's a few brown dwarfs by the look of it. So if we put on our scanning scope now, we can tune that into the various different types of signals. So you can see I've got some blips around rocky bodies. So I'll just start moving the scope around, and it looks like we've got some stuff around that star over there. It sounds like we've got some asteroids. Everything makes its own sort of specific sound on the scope. So that sort of clicking noise is, I think, meant to represent sound basically coming off lots of little rocks and being pinged back to you. It's like a very, it's a very distinctive rattling sound. Let's see what else we've got here. So this is more icy bodies, and like I say, they're not really worth anything unless they've got like some super rare life on that you can land on and scan, but I've not found any yet. I found some like mushroom like things. I don't think they are mushrooms, they just sort of grow and look like mushrooms on ice planets, but that's about it. Let's have a look here. High metal content world. High metal content world again. You can sort of see when it kind of scans downwards, it's like this bright line, and it gives a flash of light where there's stuff. Where you may just need to tune in the scanner a bit more closely. So yeah, there's an icy body, and it looks like there's still something else in the middle. There we go. So you just zoom in. I'm actually using a joystick to steer this around, so that's why it might look a bit wonky, and it's not like as smooth as it would be if I was using a mouse. Use it just to zoom in and out on the scanner, look around for things pinging back signals. Looks like there's loads of stuff over here. There you go, some more high metal content. Once that's done, you can zoom in on the system map and see what you've collected. So I'm sort of zipping past this. It does show information on this screen, but it's easier just to run through them all on the system screen. So you can ping in and ping out. There's lots of stuff over there next to B. Some asteroids by the sound of it. Asteroid clusters, and finally, system scan complete. So I scanned everything in the system. Have a look on the system map, see if there's anything worth having. Now, it doesn't look like there's anything, certainly from a terraforming point of view here. See, these worlds are actually quite small, relatively, but we'll have a look. So you can click through each one and see whether there's any hint of candidate for terraforming popping up here, which is your cue to go and scan that. It's mostly they're mostly too small though to be candidates for terraforming. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Geologicals. There's currently a bug with the geological stuff that means the stuff that it should drop, it doesn't drop properly. So it's not worth really going down to geologicals, and there's no biologicals, so that's that system done. There's nothing worth taking the time to go and scan when we could be jumping to another system and spending our time scanning for something more profitable, so off we go. Again, fuel scoop as we go past the star, top up the fuel tank. Just slowly pull ourselves into line for the next jump. You can sort of hear the engine as it sort of relaxes again after being near the star. It seems it like has to work harder near a mass, I suppose. So you get this sort of strained noise out of it, then it kind of relaxes as you get away from one. Next, what have we got? What have we got? Okay. Come on. Come on, scanner. Where are you? Oh. Oh, so it's close enough for me to have just pinged it already with the sensors. 12 bodies. Put on the scanner. Again, mostly, looks like mostly high metal content worlds. Which could be good if they're terraformable. Got rocky worlds, which is probably a moon or two around some of these. Okay. Sometimes these are behind the star, so you have to kind of move a bit and then go back to the scope. Yeah, so that's a moon. And we've got in the middle a high metal content. Right, let's have a look on the system map, see if there's anything interesting. There's not much landable. No, some of these might be terraformable. Some of those outer ones look like they're in the right kind of size. There we go, there's one, there's another one. There's a couple of terraformable planets then. So that'll be some money. In terms of other stuff, we can only land on these first three to look anyway. And it's just the first one with some geology. So we've got, was it 5, was it 6 and 7? So I'll give 6 and 7 a scan. Head over that way. Some folks like to look on this view here. Go to the Orrery view and look what the system sort of layout is before they start zipping off. They're actually not in too bad a position. Just so they don't like go all the way over here and then there's 3 together up here and stuff, but I don't usually bother. I'm tedious, I've got too much time on my hands. So off we go to A6. Just to give an idea of the difference between scanning that and not scanning that, its current value, because at the moment I'm the first discoverer for it, is 400,000 credits. If I map it efficiently using few enough probes, it will be worth 2 million credits. Bit of a difference, and makes it worth flying over there. Some of these outer ones though, so like say, oh no, that's another terraformable one. So some of these are the ones that aren't terraformable. 15,000 at the moment, 180,000 if I map it. The maths doesn't really stack up, and these rocky worlds that we've got, like the moons and stuff, that are just got nothing to them, they're worth like 20, not even 20,000. What was that? A98 is worth. I've got a piece of software that looks at the values or possible values, so that'll be worth at best 6,000. It's really not worth mapping that unless I'm there already mapping something else. And when I first started doing exploration, I didn't really get the whole difference in value between different stuff, so I was like mapping our whole systems and it was taking forever and I wasn't making much money. But you read, you learn, you progress. Right, so it says efficiency target 6 probes, 1 in the middle, 1, 2, 3 at approximately 120 degree angles, and then 1 to go around the back. And that should be that mapped. The probes are also engineered, so they have a wider scan radius anyway, so planets like that, I can just fire off that pattern and go. And be on to the next one, and be fairly confident that I'm going to have scanned it correctly. Right. Next. It's the classic Elite Dangerous travelling in the system music there, twinkling away in the background. How long have I spent listening to that, I wonder? A long time. This is it. This is the stream. People turn up for Train Simulator streams. I find something even more boring to stream. Close enough? Yeah, we're close enough. So this is big enough that I get 7 probes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some one round the back, 6. And that should do the job for that one. And that is that for this system. I do somewhat question the reality of the amount of money being paid out for these scans, because do like 3 jumps and you'll probably find a terraforming candidate world. But hey, I'm not going to complain. If they're going to pay me, they're going to pay me. Okay, I need to point it at the next star for the jump, not try and crash headfirst into the planet. That would really help matters. Next star. See if we can find some biologicals. Right. Get ready to honk. Honk if you're horny. Looks like I'm horny. I'm horny for exploration data. Right, we've got rocky bodies again. High metal contents. If you think this is boring, you should see me trying to find the last organics on a planet where I can't find the damn thing. This is the exciting part. There we go. 7. What else have we got? This scanner's a bit... The planets could appear a bit bright on it, especially if they're close to the star and facing me. Okay, and that's 8, and there's one more, and thankfully it's not behind the star. Let's have a look what we've got. Ooh, I'm on that view. So we've got some landable stuff, we've got some big stuff, so some of it might be terraformable. Let's have a look. So 1 isn't, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is. So we've got 1 terraformable. Whether or not it's terraformable depends on basically whether it's in the habitable zone of the star. So a hotter star, it has to be further away, so the temperature's more sensible. I mean, I say sensible temperature, that's currently got 762k surface temp and 138 atmospheric pressures, but apparently that can be dealt with. Let's have a look if there's anything biological to look at. Geological, biological. So what's that? A rocky world. 2 biologicals. So one of those is probably going to be... well, one of them will be bacteria. I wonder what the other one's going to be. Possibly tussocks. Let's go and find out. Tussock is just like grass-like plants. Let's go and have a snooty tooty, and also not to forget we need to scan that terraformable world, and that one was it 6 or 7? I can't remember. 6. That's the next one on the list then after this. I will also scan the main planet as well as scanning the moon, because that'll be worth a few 100,000, and we're going over that way anyway, so we might as well. It just wouldn't be worth crossing the system for 3,000 light seconds to scan it if it was somewhere else. I mean, opinions vary. Some people might scan it. I wouldn't bother. It's just not worth enough. For me, I demand the very richest planets. What can I say? I'm very mercenary with the exploration. It takes enough time already without wasting time scanning things that are only going to get you a few thousand credits rather than the millions. One thing I've repeatedly found is coming back is my sense of how not to end up doing the loop of shame, or the spiralling of shame has gone away a little bit, but it is slowly coming back. So let's do the main planet first, then land on the, then do the moon and land on that. Alright, yeah, now I've done it. Now I've done it. After saying that, I've messed it up. Oh, that should be alright. Should be alright. It's just, if I was trying to stop at the moon, that would have been too fast, but this is okay. Keep it in the blue zone. Right. Let's get my probes out. 7 probes, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 round the back just to make sure, and then let's turn around and do the moon and work out what life there is and where it will be hiding. Hopefully all in the same place. I'll fly past it so we're on the lit side as well, which always helps. That's close enough to scan. Well, that's more than close enough to scan. Almost too close. How many probes? 6 probes. It's quite a big planet. Planetoid, moon, whatever you want to call it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and round the back 5. We'll zoom round and see what we've got on this daylit side. Go bacteria and stratum. Oh, okay, well that makes sense. And they're all in about the same place. Cool. So let's land and go and find some bacteria, which are a pain in the arse, and stratum, which are actually pretty easy to tie down. So just aim for the big blue blotch. These should be pretty easily found everywhere. Just have a look at the underlying terrain, it's pretty flat. And then just hope they're easy to spot, because certain colour combinations of bacteria and ground make them very difficult to see. And you kind of have to be in the air to see the bacteria, because they're completely flat on the ground. They're a pain. Zip into the atmosphere too quickly, otherwise you'll just you won't get to glide, and it'll take you God knows how long to get down to the surface, like an extra 2 minutes at least. I'm not a patient man. Go. No, you don't get the DSS. Oh, we can see there. that flat ground without the braking on it is most likely to be where we'll find stuff. So just kind of tweak the glide path. But I mean stratum and bacteria. Stratum are usually by these rocks, these bits of broken rocky ground, and bacteria are usually on the flat bits. But we'll see when we get down there. You'll only see them within about a couple of 100 metres. You won't see them from a couple of kilometres up just as you come out of the glide. Detail settings cranked up to max even. So let's see what we've got here. So I can see nothing at the moment. Let's just carefully scoot around. I thought I saw a bacteria patch actually. Well, I mean the problem is the bacteria patches look just a bit like normal colours, variations of the ground. I can't see any stratum at all. There might be some over here near this more broken up ground. I'll keep an eye out for bacteria as well as we go. So probably, even though something may grow in an area, I assume the heat map type view goes off like elevation and temperatures and stuff and where it can survive, but it also depends. There's a bacteria map. It also depends on like the terrain. So you see there, that's bacteria. I can scan it with the composition scanner, put it in the codex, but I can also land and put it in the do my geological scan. It's often worth doing both, especially if you've not scanned it in that sector before. And it's 50,000 credits. Is it worth it? I mean, it just a bit of extra money. It just adds up over time. Well, we're being awkward about landing, are we? As usual. Sometimes the ship will land in a space that it has no business landing in. That's literally just the size of the ship. Other times you'll get flat ground like this, and the damn thing will refuse to put its backside down. But here we go. Here's a bacteria mat. We'll get the genetic sampler out. Unsafe temperatures because it's hot. What temperature are we on? 417. We could find some cooler temperatures around the night side of the planet, or the moon, or whatever we're calling it, but it's fine. 400 we can cope with. We're not actually out of the ship that long when we're doing this, or I'm not, rather, I should say, because it is very much just like floating along slowly, looking for those bacterial mats, or bacterial colonies. Stratum, I've not spotted any of yet, but when I spot some, we can wander over there. If we stick around this rocky area, there should be a bit of both knocking around. It's obvious enough when you see it, so hopefully we'll spot. There is at least a little bit of contrast between the bacteria and the ground. They're a kind of greenish colour against the paler whitish beigey type colour of this planet. You do get some nice bits of shading here, so you can see here there's like a big brown patch here, so it's like that's where, I don't know, some of the atmosphere is maybe frozen out or dropped out. Mind you, it's 400k, so I'm not sure what would freeze out or drop out. Maybe it's just caught fire and burnt. But yeah, you do get variations in the shading as well. So certain planets, you get the life on certain colours of the terrain, and you don't get it on other colours, or so it seems. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but here's a load of bacteria. Look, blatantly blatant. We'll just find a flat patch to put down. You can actually just land on top of the bacteria because they're flat. I mean, I'm not sure that they'll be scientifically, biologically sampled if you stick your ship down on top of them, that you've been landing on all the other bacteria in the galaxy, but hey ho. What can I say? It's about playing the game. Come on. Can I please get out of my ship now? So this is something I've been getting a lot, where you get out of the ship and nothing happens. So yeah, I mean, you can get around it by just exiting and then restarting, but it's a bit annoying. I don't know if it's just a loading delay or a connection delay, but it doesn't seem to resolve itself. Or it certainly hasn't in the amount of time that I have patience to wait for it, so... You see a quick reconnect fixes it. Okay, so we've got our bacteria. Really curious to know where all the stratum have gone. Maybe I'll go and look in that crater that we saw. Craters are usually a reasonable shout for finding stuff. Plus they also look pretty. Right, let's take off and go and find the third bacterial mat to sample, and then we'll go and find some stratum. Or if we see some as we go over, we'll look at some stratum. Oh, there's one, but it's probably a bit close. Bacteria. There's one. That should be far enough away. So yeah, some planets like this, there's loads of it, and they're easy to see, or easy-ish to see. Other planets, they're a bit tricky to see on ice planets because they just look like cracked ice from a distance. So you have to really kind of get your eye in to spot them. And then certain planets, I don't know where they are. You know, you hunt around the planet and you just don't spot them. So either they look like something, I'm in the wrong place on the planet despite trying several places, or I don't know. But this should be okay. Oh, what are you... That's not right. Oh. I think we're missing models, that's why I can't see any stratum. Look, hang on. Yeah, okay. That'll be why I can't see any stratum then, because we're missing it. Oh, is that so? That's what it should look. There we go. Oh, okay. Well, it's a completely different species to the one I've seen before. So that's the stratum. And that does basically just blend in with the rocks and everything else. Okay. There we go. I've seen something new today. But I was looking for bacteria. Did my eyes just pick that stratum up as bacteria, or has something weird happened when I've relogged? Who knows? But there is some bacteria over here. So we'll scan that and then we'll go back and scan that weird veiny stratum. Yeah, I've not seen anything new for a while now, so that's fun. I should stream more often. So you can see it pings, it goes green, so you can scan it, it's in the right place. There we go. So that's one sample down. I think Bacterium cerebrus is kind of middling in value. It's not the cheapest bacteria, it's not the most expensive, but it's one of those where if you're down on the planet's surface, you might as well scan the bacteria as well if you can find them. Right, let's go and have a look at this. Yeah, so you can see there that we're missing a model. I'm just scanning empty ground. Stratum arenaeus. Nope, never seen that before, so that's a new one on me. So yeah, it's this weird veiny, blotchy thing. So let's go and look for some more of that. Stratum, let's call the whole thing off. You need to be quite a distance apart from the last one to scan another one. So the upside is they're usually pretty common on planets where they're present. Let's just be careful not to boost into the ground because this ships are a little bit stripped back due to the fact that it's for exploration, not combat. And shitter shields are lighter shields, but they're also shitter. So I can bump into the ground a bit, but I can't bump into the ground at full boost because that will kill me. Let's have a look down here in this crater for some stratum. I could do this in the SRV actually, but I can't be arsed. You could also sometimes, there's one, and that's bacteria. You could also see by the composition scanner reticule I've got up here will flash when it's over something. So that might be some. I really don't know, because now it looks like rock, and I might get the SRV out for this. Is that some over there? Maybe that's more obvious. Or is that more just rock? They tend to appear near rocky outcrops anyway, so let's just put the ship down and see. Yeah, it is. You can see now the reticule's going. So you can kind of confirm A, if something is actually organic by looking at it from the ship, and also what it is. Slightly confusing, the Asp, because you get out of it at the back facing backwards, but you land it sort of pointing towards the thing that you want to go and scout. Or I do. I try and land it backwards, but yeah, there we go, there's some more veiny bum rocks. That's 2. We need 1 more, and then we need to go and scan that other terraformable planet. And then it's next system, boys. And any girls, but probably boys. If that. Onwards and upwards. So if I just come up and out of this crater, then we'll easily be at the correct distance. We gear back down, ready to land and scan away, and then land and scan away. Absolutely love the sounds that the Asp makes. It's like a bloody propeller plane going mad when it slows down. You go like this. You throttle back and it goes. These are the big retro thrusters on the side of the cab, like here, like there. That's where it thrusts backwards from. There's probably going to be some round here. No. Okay. Is that some over there? One way to find out. No. Come on, where's me veiny bum rocks? Don't let me go and get back in the ship. I'll go back in the ship then. Sod you then. See if I care. $416k. So that's a balmy, what, 133 degrees Celsius. It's not that hot. It's fine. I think the suit can deal with up to 800k. But when you're in one of these environments, it also drains your battery slowly. When it says like unsafe temperature, so. Because it's either heating or cooling. stop you from dying. Right, let's go and find some bloody stratum. Let's go and find some veiny bum rocks. Get off this world. Oh yeah, now we've got bacteria. Fucking mocking me. Bacteria for days. There should be some stratum around here. It's the kind of place it likes to grow usually. Is that one? Oh. No. That's just a rock, is it? Okay. Honestly. That's one. That's one. It actually looks slightly more tentacly and organic from here. Oh, it's flat. Shut up. Don't unsuitable terrain me. Right. I'll run around the ship. There we go. There's one. There we go. That's the sample, and then that's that. Veiny bum rock. I mean, what might be happening where the model's disappeared is it's like being rendered under the surface, so the height's wrong or something. But whatever it is, it doesn't really help finding it. Sometimes you just have to jump open over your ship and then drop down the other side. Right, let's go and scan that other planet. So if you ever want to know what the stuff is, got the codex. So we can have a look. Discoveries, biological, organic structures. That was a stratum. Stratum aeronymous. Vaguely octopod shape. The semi-translucent upper domes reveal colourful inner organisms which contract with their darker outstretched tentacles. So there you go, and it also tells you some places where they've been reported. It doesn't look particularly emerald, but there we go. Right, no, I don't want to go there. Okay. So it's planet number 7. No, it's number 6, I think. Let me just double check my system list. Planet number 6. Scroll back to my scan list. I've got ED Discovery running in the background, so that's what you can't see me looking at. Yeah, planet number 6. Right. Oh. Back into Super Cruise and be on our way to the next place. Give that a scan and be on our way on our way. Probably not the quickest way to do it, doing it with the orbital cruise boost, but I like it. I like the noise it makes. Sounds like the engines aren't happy with you. There's a proper way to do it is like this: get a load of extra altitude and then do it. Because the higher up you are, the faster it'll go. How casually we just randomly break orbit and zip off to the next place. There we go. Picking up some speed now. We might get there before 24 days have elapsed. No. I got background shit running as well, as you do when you're exploring, because otherwise you'd die of boredom. I'm selling it. I'm really selling it. I tweeted that it's boring. I'm saying it's boring now. There we go, we're taking off. Taking off, speeding up. We might even start beating the speed of light soon. That's how fast we're going. There we go, nice. Nice relaxing 30 times the speed of light cruise across the system. And then I zip past at high speed. I was a bit late. No, okay, we should be okay with that. 7-second rule, 7-second rule. Going to be close enough to launch probes? Yes, we are. 3, 4, 5. That should be enough. I will find our next system. There we go, that's targeted, isn't it? Yes, it is. That kind of dropped because I had to disconnect and then reconnect again, so I had to replot anyway. Oh god, that did complete. I want to jump out before the scan completes, that would be silly. What's next on the list? What have we got next? Nothing, it's just the star. Refuel the next system. The biggest, most expensive module in this entire ship, I think, is the fuel scoop. Well, I suppose the Guardian frameshift drive booster is technically more expensive in terms of the time it took to sort it out and stuff, but maybe the hyperdrive, maybe the frameshift drive. Well, one of the most. And the reason is, I don't want to be waiting for God knows how long sat parked next to a star to fuel scoop. I want the next system. Oh, that's too close to the star to be launching that off just yet. Now we're far enough away. Just because that's that siren coming up. It's like, uh-oh, too close. Don't want to overheat. There ain't many service stations out here. The closest one, I'd have to crawl back to the one by the Crab Nebula, which is where I've just been. On my sort of way out here to the edge, there's like the jellyfish. There's one in the Jellyfish Nebula, one in the Crab Nebula, and then there's like fleet carriers scattered about. If you know where to look, and that's it. Which is more than there used to be. There used to be nout. Things have definitely changed a bit since I was a boy. Or a young explorer. Or an explorer. Let's not even bring the word young into it, because that ship sailed long ago. Right, what have we got here? High metal content. There is a water world by the look of it in this system. If it's a terraformable water world, that would be very nice. Is it that? No. Because they're worth about the same as an Earth-like. If it's not, then... oh, there it is. It is a water world. Let's have a look at the stats on that. 5 AU. Bloody hell. That's not likely to be terraformable. Well, it might be. And everything else is hidden behind the star. Let's just scoot around the star then to have a look at what's on the other side. Fuel scooping while we're here. Right. I mean, I say see what, I mean it's all high metal content worlds, I can see the scan of what they are, but... let's see what's what in a minute. What else have we got? One more to go. Tune in. Oh, don't tell me you've managed to be behind the star again. It might be then one of these. You get planets sometimes in this system that are just completely off the ecliptic, orbiting in a different orbit because they're like captured. Oh no, there we go. There's one. Right. Now there should be something terraformable here. Let's see what we've got. That's way too close to a Class A. That's not. That's not. That's not. That is terraformable. Okay, so we've got a terraformer, we've got a water world. It's worth pigging the water world anyway with a scan, just because. Have we got any organics to go and scan? No. One biological there. Is that a terraformer? Oh no, it's... ah, okay. That one biological would be bacteria, and the chances are it's not worth scanning. Right, Planet 4 and Planet 6. Here we go. Which is closer. Is Planet 6 kind of over that way? No, it's not. Oh well. If I'm only doing 2, then there's only... I can either do one and then the other, or the other and then the one. So... either way, doesn't make much difference. Water wheels are a bit of an odd one to scan when they're not terraformable, I suppose. I tend to do them because of the novelty, but in terms of what they're actually worth, you really have to be kind of the first discoverer to make it pay off going over there and mapping it, or the first mapper. Otherwise it's more like just mapping a normal high metal content world where you're not the first discoverer. So they're only really worth it if they're terraformable, or you're the first discoverer. But I tend to do them anyway, because hey, it's a water world, why not? Go say hi to Kevin Costner while we're there. Just ease back on the throttle a little bit so we don't go zipping past. Like I say, as is tradition, I'll ping them in while we're here as well, because it'll be worth fuck all, but I just don't like leaving it unscanned if I'm here anyway. So, it's a personal thing. Close enough to 5 probes. There are 6 probes, that's 1 in the middle. Come on. Low down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We go into the moon. Hey, Mr. Bodie, how's it going? I'm here on this lovely sunny day sitting inside playing pretend spaceships, so... what finer use of my time could there be? Not even shooting things in the spaceship, just scanning things and then scanning some more things and then scanning some more things. Not yet. The equivalent of spadding on this is flying too fast at the sun and getting kicked out of Super Cruise, it's called, or flying too close to a planet too fast and getting kicked out of Super Cruise. Is 2 going to be enough? I've already forgotten what the other one was. 6. Let's go. Still, it still works better than Star Citizen. Yeah, it's still, considering it's like 2014 vintage, it does a good job. It has been upgraded a bit along the way, but not massively, visually. And out here in space, basically, it's rendering the cockpit at a black screen and like the sun, and that's about it. So it does alright. Once you get close to the planets, it starts hammering away at your graphics card a bit more, because it does like loads of the terrain generation on the GPU. So it can slow down a bit then, but thankfully not not for me. Hello, Dave. Have you finished escaping your apes? I saw you'd got the third one on Twitter, and all I could think of was he likes pain. The pain of ape escape. %1 and 2. Crikey. I was going to say you've got more patience than me, but I'm sat here doing this, just going from planet to planet scanning it, so... I mean, I suppose... I don't know if patience is the word, because you don't get frustrated doing this, it's just, can you do it without nodding off? If I show you kind of where I am in the galaxy at the moment, you'll get an idea of the kind of stuff I get up to. So that's the bubble in there, and I'm sort of out here by just past the Crab Nebula, exploring out here. And you can see on the map all the places I've been. So I've been to the middle of the galaxy, I've been over here where like the Colonia area is, and I've just been kind of all over the place along these sort of lines of bookmarks you can see. I'm currently sort of creeping out towards the edge of the galaxy to have a look out into the void. I'll see how close I actually get, because these stars get quite a long way apart. And even with a 70 light year jump range, it can be a bit of a... Well, I mean, some of this could be irritating collectible busy work. When it comes to scanning the stuff on the surface, the exobiology stuff. Finding some of those is a real pain in the arse. Without any real reward other than you can go and sell it and then go and do some more and some more. Yes, we're wandering around the sly apes, kind of relevant sector at the moment. We've just found a water world. It's just a water world, it's not a terraformable water world, so it's not worth as much, but it's still worth a bit. So I'm going to slow down. I might get a bit closer just because we're on stream. Slow down a bit and go to my probe flinging screen and fling some probes at it and make some more money. Ooh. Do the full Mass Effect job on it. So exploration is basically scanning stuff. Flying, scanning, get back to base and sell it without dying. So if you want to see some exploration stuff, here is your opportunity to see just how exciting it isn't. You can kind of get started re-scanning stuff that's already been discovered. You won't make as much money, but if you want to make the big bucks, you kind of have to go and find stuff that hasn't been discovered, because you get big bonuses for stuff that's not been scanned already. But there's all sorts of like little picture guides and stuff on what's worth scanning and what's not out there, so don't waste time like I did when I first started doing it, scanning stuff that's just worth nothing. But the basics are, get a ship with as long a jump range as possible. That's about all that matters, with the right scanners on it, and off you go. That's it. That's exploration. That's all it requires. That and a lot of patience, because if you're going a long way, it's going to take a long time, and you're going to be doing exploration basically for a long time. I'm kind of out in the middle of nowhere now, as you saw, so if I want to go and do something else, I'm basically screwed. I'm locked into exploration for a while. So if you like to ping around doing lots of different things, it's possibly not for you, if that's your play style. But basically, exploration's kind of alright with the new expansion. There's a few bits and pieces that are a bit wibbly, Oh yeah, no, there's loads of stuff already not scanned. Um, if if you're in like the main part where all the main populated systems are, you won't find anything. You have to go out of that main part quite a bit now, because the game's been going for quite a while. But the galaxy has, I can't remember if it's 100 billion or 200 billion. The actual percent scanned is still something stupid like 0.02%, just because there's actually that many stars in the galaxy. So you'll find around the populated stuff, everything's been scanned, everything's been footfalled, and all the rest of it. But as soon as you get outside that populated bubble, and as soon as you're off like the beaten tracks, so a lot of the systems, like if you go in a straight line between, say, Sol and out to the Crab Nebula where I've gone, like if you just plot a route along there, because like everybody's basically plotted that route, you'll probably find loads of discovered systems. But if you go, say, above or below the plane of Sol and travel, you'll probably find undiscovered stuff. I mean, if you really want to find undiscovered stuff, just go straight for the galactic centre, because there's so many stars in there. People can just plot routes, ping through them, and still not scan everything. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff still to be discovered out there. Lots of systems. Let me go back to my Discovery scanner. I'm finished scanning what's in this system, or trying to. It's not as easy as it used to be when it first started out back in 2014. You used to not have to go that far to start hitting undiscovered stuff, but now with it being 7 years, is it 6 or 7 years running? Obviously, quite a lot of stuff's been discovered close in to the bubble. But you can actually see, like on there are services like ED Star Map and stuff that like sort of map out where people have been, so you can see like what the most explored areas are and where you're likely to find stuff that's not explored. So it'll give you a good idea. Where is this? Is this complete? Oh, okay, it's over there. So we've got a kind of a binary star system. 1, 2. There's one more body in this system that I've not seen. So that's 5. Is it behind the star? No. This is sometimes the excitement of exploration. I'm basically looking for a light blip on the scanner that shows me that there's a planet there. Oh, it's over there by 3. So, okay, that's what's going on there. Let's have a look then at the system map and see what this system looks like. So we've got a couple of these brown dwarfs. We've got a metal-rich planet and another couple of metal-rich planets and a couple of planets we can land on. So let's just have a look at the information for those. So the brown dwarfs aren't worth scanning. They just basically operate the same as stars. You get like a few thousand. The only stellar stuff you get decent amounts of scanning are neutron stars and black holes, and even they're not worth that much. They're like, I think it's maybe 10,000, 20,000, maybe a bit more for a black hole, but they're not worth that much. So there's some geological stuff on that planet. I don't think any of these are going to be terraformable. Oh, there you go, somebody's already discovered that all the way out here. Is there anything worth mapping on that moon? No, there isn't. So there you go, even all the way out here in the middle of nowhere. So I could tell you what's... Oh, I don't know, maybe he's just got bored with the scope. So you can see here, some of this stuff's already been discovered. Oh, it's a T-Tauri star. Okay, well, it's still a brown dwarf, really. But you can see that even though these have been discovered, like some of the other planets have been missed. Once upon a time, the scanning worked quite differently in this. So that accounts for some of these where like stuff's missing. It was either easier to miss stuff or it wasn't as worth it to try and find stuff or whatever. So sometimes you will get even individual systems where planets haven't been scanned, and even if planets have been discovered, you can still make quite a lot by just mapping it. So that's the bit where you fire the probes at it, because if they've not been mapped, you can still make quite a lot of money if the body's worth anything by just mapping it. So even if the stuff that's discovered, if it's not been mapped yet, it's still worth having a look at. But this system's not really worth it. There's nothing in here worth scanning. Because it would be a few credits, but not like massive amounts, so... Rather than wasting time scanning that, we'll go to another system and try and find more stuff that's worth scanning. 69.9, nice. Right, we've got here A-class start. Nothing's been discovered here yet. And there's only 2 stars and nothing else, so that's not worth... There's nothing to stick around and scan. Here you are. Fuel skip as we go past. Probably a bit close to the star. Still give it a minute to cool down a bit. There we go. But if you have the patience to basically just do this over and over again and find something interesting occasionally, then exploration could be for you. But you ain't going to map every star in your lifetime. Or anybody's lifetime. There are collectible challenges, and then there are collectible challenges that aren't reasonable. I think that there's like a league table of like most mapped systems. I think the most mapped is a few 100,000 by somebody, and even that is a minuscule fraction of the number of stars in the galaxy in Elite. Right, what have we got here? Rocky bodies, asteroids, metal-rich bodies, high metal content worlds. They're probably all around that other star. God knows how far away. Here. High metal content. Okay, next. Oh, that's been discovered. See, here was me thinking nobody had been here, but even in here there's like odd planets that people have discovered. I'm not entirely sure how, to be honest. Or why they'd only discover certain ones and not others. They may have just seen a light in the sky and gone over for a look. Okay, and that's going to be asteroids, probably, is it? Oh, no, that's another high metal content. And another high metal content. And some asteroids. Okay, that's everything around there. Let's zoom back out and have a look around here. So B we've mapped, C we've mapped. Is there anything? There we go, there's some more. There's some more stuff. So let's have a look at the system map, see what we've got. in our rogues gallery of planets. So there's a few bits of stuff we can land on. So let's look. Sky Warrior, Sky Warrior, Sky Warrior. How far out are these planets? See, I think this Sky Warrior potentially. Let me have a look at some of the others. Let's see if he's discovered anything else. Yeah, so systems that look like this. It used to be when you jumped into a system, you'd sort of automatically pick up stuff within a certain distance of yourself. And I think you still do, but it has to be much closer now, and the rest of it's on that scope thing. So this is like, yes, it has been discovered, but it was quite a long time ago, and certainly all the other stuff hasn't been discovered. I've just picked it up all up on the scope for the first time now. So I'll get credit for all these other ones if I scan them. But let's just see if anything's terraformable. They might be a bit small, but we'll have a look. Yeah, no, I don't know if it's... Yeah, that's too small. That's too close. And these are probably all too small as well, but we'll have a look. There's one. 12,000 light seconds isn't too bad. Right, let's have a look and see if anything's worth scanning on the surface. No, 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 no. No, no, nothing. Nothing, nothing. This all used to be on the same bloody menu, and now you've got to like go through two. No, so the only thing we're really interested in then in this system is that planet there, because it's a candidate for terraforming, so I'll fly over there and give that a scan. The planets and systems out this way are all procedurally named. There are no handcrafted systems this way, except for the closest handcrafted thing is the Crab Pulsar and the Crab Nebula, which is kind of relevant to what you've just said there about syphilis. Really, it's a related topic. So we'll just quietly float over towards this planet. You'll see we're slightly picking up speed. So it won't take 5 minutes. It'll probably take 3.5 at the most. Who could possibly be bored by looking at a black screen with a starfield for 2.5 minutes? I was brought up on Windows screensavers. I can sit and stare at this for hours. This isn't even the furthest. 12,000 light seconds is fairly close by in the scheme of Elite. But you know, come back when you do 200,000. This is why, as I was saying earlier on, I tend to have something on the other screen like Netflix or YouTube or something to watch videos while I'm doing this. You can multitask. You can waste twice as much time at the same time as possible. Squadron 42 is never coming out. Well, if Squadron 42 comes out, it will be as much of a disaster as Duke Nukem Forever was, if not more so. I mean, it's had its troubles, and it's not been smooth sailing from launch, but there's not a lot in this that Star Citizen has that this doesn't now. And yeah, it's a bit janky and it's a bit cheap, and it's been done on the cheap compared to Star Citizen, but it's out. Yeah, but did you buy Duke Nukem Forever thinking it was going to be a good game, or did you get it on release thinking, I'm going to see how much of a fuck up this is? I think their only sales were basically people buying it to go, I'm going to see how much of a fuck up this is. It must be the greatest game ever, it's been developed for so long. So you played the demo first? The Elite Dangerous Odyssey has upset the gamers. The gamers are unhappy. And much like No Man's Sky before it, which delivered the game promised, or certainly the game that I was promised, if not the game that apparently everybody else thought they were promised, it was basically fine. They're on a fucking rager. So, by flying over there and firing those probes at that planet, which is C6A, or C6, sorry, I have gained, let's have a look, I have gained 1,400,000 credits for that act of scanning, well, assuming I had the data in and sell it. So flying over here, doing that scan, 1.4 million credits on top of what I'd earned already by just pinging that it exists first. To give you an idea of why it's worth flying over there, the kind of multipliers involved in the value. Flying over here and scanning this moon, which I'm only doing because I'm already here, takes you from a value of 500 credits up to 6,000 credits. And as I was saying before, that's why we scan some things and we do not bother scanning other things, because certain things just ain't worth it. Quite a lot of things ain't worth it, actually. Crikey, I've got a raid. Hello, anybody and everybody raiding. So this is a new one for me. We are doing some Elite Dangerous Exploration. 07. Just found a nice terraformable high metal content world, and we're on to the next system. We are flopping around near the Crab Nebula, or just past the Crab Nebula, heading out towards the rim of the galaxy. So that's what I'm up to. You're all very welcome to watch along. Scan is a brand of sausages. Meatballs and bacon. Okay, well. There we go. Let's ping the old scanner. What have we got here? 13. Oh, that's Rocky Ice. Rocky Ice and Earthworld are like right next to each other on the scanner. Like literally, you can put your pointer there and think, oh, I'm looking for an Earth-like. And then, no, it's a Rocky Ice world. So like, okay. Just give me a heart attack, why don't you? What have we got here? Icy body. And yeah, just scanning around, scanning all the things. High metal content. I'll give you forewarning now, if I find any biological stuff I will be landing to go and find it. Oh, I've been on that kind of trip. I stopped playing for about 4 years. I've kind of come back for Odyssey. So there's a lot of stuff that happened before Odyssey that's been added that I've missed, exploration wise. So there's all sorts of stuff now. Like there are fleet carriers dotted around the place. There's the whole like row of stations out to Colonia now. There's all sorts of fun extra bits and pieces that make it a bit easier now. But yeah, I mean I sort of went out to Colonia, I went out to Sag A Star, and then came back to the bubble, and I've done some other bits and pieces wandering around. But now I'm kind of thinking about going out to the edge, past the Crab Nebula, and then maybe round to Beagle's Point, or I might just go back depending on what I fancy. But I mean, I think the reason I'm out here is just giving Odyssey some time to stabilise, because the exploration stuff in Odyssey is pretty much okay. The stuff they've added, so they can fix all the other stuff while I'm fanning around in the outskirts of the galaxy. Then I can come back and do all that once it's fixed. This works, just about. I mean, there's some bits and pieces, but it mostly works. Right, let's scan that. I could tune myself in. High metal content. One of them. Got one of them. Got one of them. Yeah, I've got the. I came back to playing like maybe a month before Odyssey properly launched, or a few weeks before it launched. So I kind of did a little refresher run out to Eta Carina and then back into the bubble. So I was purposefully sat in the bubble waiting for it to launch so I could get the Artemis suit before I then went off out and about. So it's kind of premeditated, this return. Let's have a look at what we've got here. So, any terraformable stuff? No. Oh, that is. So we've got 3 and 4, 5 and 6. Oh, not bad. That's going to be worth a fair bit. Okay, we've got anything biological to scan? No. Ooh, we've got some biologicals. So that would probably be like that other planet we had with Stratum, and so that's 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and then land on 6 and do some looking for biologicals. Let's go and see what we can see. I will be. Alas, this is when having the, as I've been saying throughout, this is when having the second screen with like Netflix or something on it is good, because you can sit and watch that just for a bit while we're floating in the void to the next place to scan. I've been on the YouTube on the other screen quite a lot at the moment. Been on YouTube, watching loads of Royal Institution lectures. They've been good. Watching all the cosmology stuff on there, getting myself up to date with all the latest theories about why nothing in the universe really matters, because we're all going to end up in a dark, cold, empty universe. So that's cheerful. You get systems like this, then when I go to sell them later on, I'm like, 20 million? Where was 20 million in that system? Oh yeah, 4 terraformables or whatever it was. I've had better than this, but this is a pretty good one. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Our next planet, which was 4. Might have been a more efficient way to plot my way around here, but... I remember back in the day, you used to have to fly all the way over and then just wait and it'd scan it and then that was it. Oh, it's not like it used to be, kids. You have to actually do stuff now. Old man Commander PSB and his geriatric galaxy exploration. So I was saying before, basically I stopped playing probably when the I kind of stopped, and then they brought in the surface scanner and the spectrum scanner, and I came back, had a look at those, and I was like, I can't be bothered. But now I'm back. Like I say, I looked at it, and it was like 2017 I last played, which was really longer than I thought it was. The Odyssey has brought me back into the fold. And now I'm newly addicted once again. Right. There you go then. You can have a play of it on Gold Pody. I've never got to grips with using the Xbox controller to control this because I started off with the keyboard and mouse, which isn't ideal, and then I very quickly bought a throttle and a hot ass, so I should say, stick and throttle for it because it just makes things so much easier. And then I bought a better stick and throttle, and it made it even easier. Yeah, I assume once you get used to it, it's fine, but there is a very steep learning curve. Like so, I just find the stick and throttle makes it much easier. Keyboard and Amiga joystick, keyboard and Amiga mouse. To use the Frontier control method, and have it running at 2 or 3 frames per second. Whenever you basically go near anything, or like 10 frames per second if you're out in space and there's nothing around. That's the way to do it. So these people with their, oh, there are bugs. Pfft. Should have seen Frontier back in the day, for our first encounters rather, back in the day. You boys don't know what bugs are. Yeah, this is old man now sitting on his rocking chair on the porch shouting at the youths. Not that I think there are probably that many youths in the channel. Elite fans, people who watch me because of my train simulator streams normally. It's not quite the youth market. There isn't a hot tub in sight. There's nothing. There's just me being grumpy. Well, you'd think so, but then when you go on the forums and see basically people crying and shitting their pants for attention, you do wonder at Manco what the target audience is. I've come off there again. It was just making me too angry. It was just I was going to get banned at some point just for calling people bad names because they were annoying me. There's just certain types of posts that happen every time, and it's just like, was this really necessary? No, it was not. It's like I remember the No Man's Sky thing. I'll always remember Mass Effect 3 ending, all these big controversies, but No Man's Sky in particular, when everybody was saying, "Oh, it's a scam. They're just going to take the money now and run," and like they've just consistently updated, added to it since release now for like 4 years, which they were always going to be doing. This is why I get frustrated and annoyed with the gamers. Then again, they get frustrated and annoyed with me not being annoyed, so it's a vicious circle that we'll never break out of. Exactly. Fucking I mean, even people are like saying, "Oh, Fallout 4's graphics are better than Elite's." It's like, well, okay, if you say so. But also, like, there's a lot of things about Fallout 4 that aren't better. Elite has no story, and it still has a better story than Fallout 4. Well, that's not true. It kind of has a background, bits and pieces of lore. Platinum Games can do no wrong. I mean, I played Nier Automata on when it went on to Game Pass, and it just annoyed me. I played it like once, it killed me in an annoying way, and then it sent me back to the start of the game. At which point I just went, fuck off. I like the way it looks. I like the character design and stuff. I like all that stuff. It's just the game itself just annoyed me and got uninstalled immediately. So we have biologicals, we have bacteria, and we have stratum again. I wonder if there'll be wrinkly bum stratum like the last ones we found, but basically the bacteria are everywhere. The stratum and most places, so it doesn't really matter where we land. We'll find both. So, down we go. Yeah. Well, you know, I already had too many games to play, and now I'm spending all my time playing Elite instead of playing the other games, and it's just, it's not helping things. Like, I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was about 8 hours into that, 8 to 9 hours. Then I ended up starting this again, and that's it now. All of the games have gone. The only other game I play is like a crossword game on my phone. I was like this with World of Warcraft though, when World of Warcraft was a thing. Before it stopped being good. And I stopped giving a shit about it. I just have that kind of personality where something like this, I'll just go straight into it and get completely lost. And everything else can just goes. I just get tunnel vision for this. Yeah, I mean that's the only time I tried it when it came onto PS Plus, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, yes, the graphics are better, but the scope is obviously cut down, and the fact that to make Final Fantasy VII to that standard these days would require like 15 years of fucking development and God knows what else. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 took long enough and took being like 3 different games before it became Final Fantasy 15 to come out. So, I don't have that much time for games these days. I'd have even less time if I did things like, tidied the house, washed up, that kind of thing. But yeah, games that annoy me or waste my time, he said, playing a game about just scanning the same thing over and over again for no actual benefit. Games that annoy me or waste my time just get binned off straight away. They don't get a second chance. That Outer Wilds was kind of getting into that category at first, but I kind of got over that with it. But it can be very like that as well. Here we go. So I'm landed. I've hopped out of the ship. Should be first footfall because I'm in the middle of nowhere, galactically speaking. And here's some nice organic material to scan. Some more veiny stratum. The problem with doing that is I'm going to have to go a long way to find some more. Now, stratum tectonicus, whatever that was, that is worth a reasonable amount, I think. By reasonable amount, I think it means that it's like 400k plus another 400 if you're like the first discoverer. What I will probably do is get the SRV out for this, just for a bit of variety. Just stretch my legs a bit, have a little drive around on the planet. Yeah, that's what makes it fun, low gravity. It's not that low, half a G's not that low. Like when you've got like 0.1 G, that's when it gets fun. Now you can watch me fail to drive this in a sensible manner. So is that bacterial mat? Death Stranding is, yeah. It's like PS4 and PC at the moment. I don't think it's on Xbox, is it? So. Oh, here we go, look. Just crashing into random rocks. The thing about Doom, and this is going back to the first Doom, when I think back about Doom and how much of Doom I actually played, it was only like not actually that much of it. Played like the first couple of levels with like all the cheats on to blow things up really easily, and that was about it. Which probably says a lot about my personality, really. Ooh. Yep, that did get sampled. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of stratum, but I'm not seeing bacteria. Obviously I'm not going to see individual bacteria before you start, but like the bacterial mats. It's like a load of fucking hell. So times like this, you're glad you've got thrusters. Okay, no, Sonny Jim. Let's just slow down a bit. Is that stratum or is that... No, it's more stratum. Might have to take the disguise to spot the bacteria. Is that far enough away? It is. Right, okay. Well, I got the SRV. I should have just stuck with the ship. Never mind. So there isn't... Most of the planets have like one biological sign, which tends to be which is pretty much always bacteria, or maybe a couple, which is like this, like stratum and bacteria. I've had a few that are... Oh, the ship's still there. It's not taken off. I was assuming I was going to have to recall it. Mind you, I have to get back over that huge pit I just about boosted over to get back to it. And there it is. Alright. I assumed I'd gone so far away it would have buggered off. So this is that big pit there. Whee! There's another one there, I'll try and go around it. It all goes so well, and then I just end up like driving into a rock or something, and it looks... Oh, there you go, doing that. And it looks far less impressive. The sort of hooning around on the surface in the SRV. Surface reconnaissance, I think is the R in it, vehicle. I don't think it's recovery. Could just be recon and not reconnaissance. Anyway, let's take off and see if we can sniff out some bacteria. No, the life you get is like bacterial mats, lichen, the odd bit of grass. See you later, Bodhi. Thank you for coming along. That kind of thing. It's not like No Man's Sky where there's all sorts of stuff. Speaking of Gran Turismo, Gran Turismo 7 now being backported to the PlayStation 4 because they can't sell enough PlayStation 5s to make it economically viable. Or they can't rather make enough to sell to make it economically viable. What was the other one? It's getting Horizon, the new Horizon game as well. So what I am looking for is little flat patches of bacteria like growing on the ground. They'll look kind of like those green things but flatter, maybe. Or they might look slightly different depending on what species of bacteria they are. But there's a lot of time spent doing this if you want to scan everything on a planet. Or I may just sack it off and say, well, I've got my stratum scanned, let's go. And blast across to this somewhat flatter land. Oh, okay. I assumed that it was true because it was in the media, so that's my fault. I saw Horizon, what's it called? Forbidden West, it's called, isn't it? I saw it had been delayed. So, like, there was a woman who works at the studio there. Oh no, was it God of War? No, it was God of War. God of War being delayed. There was like a woman who works at the studio that does God of War who was getting abused because it had been delayed. Is that bacteria? No, it's just a patch of rocky crap on the sand. Let's have a look, see if we can spot anything bacteria-like. Maybe they'll be growing in this sandy stuff. Or maybe they won't. Who knows? I certainly don't. That's why I'm looking. So you get these changes of grounds. That's like sand, and then you've got this sort of darker rocky ground. And depending on what type of bacteria it is on this planet, it will affect what it grows on. That's more stratum. It's probably one of those classic, we have no plans to announce at this time or something. So everyone went, ah, well that confirms it then. or something along those lines. That's what it usually is. Did that just ping on the ground at something that I've just missed, or was it the stratum it was pinging on? That's what I get for looking at chat and not looking at my ship and what it's doing. No. So, as you saw if you were here earlier on when I was finding bacteria mats on the floor, sometimes they're quite easy to spot. Here, this bloody stratum looked quite like the bacterial mats look, if I'm honest, from far enough up, so it's really a bit of a pain in the arse. I may not even find any around here. Right, okay. So, I mean, Horizon's been confirmed for both, though, hasn't it? Or is that part of the same statement? See, I just think that they're asking for trouble. They haven't learnt the lesson of Cyberpunk. I mean, people are assuming, basically, that Elite Dangerous Odyssey isn't actually coming out on the PS4 and Xbox One. Or certainly not the base consoles, just because of the extra load it's been putting on people's graphics cards, although I'm not sure why. It turns out Frontier isn't too sure why either in places. I'm going to find some different terrain to look for this bacteria. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean it makes commercial sense to do it, or try to do it, I suppose, and sell as many copies as possible. But if it turns out being really shit on the previous gen because of a lack of processing power, then it's just going to be another clusterfuck, like the Cyberpunk thing was. But hey ho. We should do a podcast to talk about this kind of stuff, Manco. That would be great. Now we could also talk about Nazi hentai titties as well. Right, let's find a different type of ground, or a different looking type of ground. So there's some flatter ground over there, some dark ground over there. Let's try this area. Oh, no, it's saying that's definitely not going to have any in. Okay. Let's not try that then. Let's try, I suppose, this bit. Let's just try a different area altogether. Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't really have problems with it, but in fairness, this is a 3070, so it probably brute forced most of the problems away. But it did, that latest update where they've done a load of stuff did improve it, so I went from like 40 or 50 in stations to more like 60 to 70 in 1440p, so it was kind of okay, and now it's a bit better, so hopefully they'll slowly optimise it. But yeah, I think it's really going to struggle on like the PS4 and the Xbox One, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see them say something like, well, you can try and play it, but it's going to be like 720p and this, that and the other on the base consoles, or you can like go for the Pro or the X or the proper next gen, because it's just, yeah. Well, that's I entirely, entirely accept that they did properly screw stuff up. Yeah. Well, I mean, it could be a driver thing. I mean, I think AMD cards and Nvidia cards work a bit differently well, they obviously work a bit differently, like the amount of load they put on the CPU and stuff. I think Nvidia's harder on the CPU, isn't it, or something? I read somewhere. So it might be... I don't know. I don't know. Don't know the answer. I'm wildly speculating. But here's our bacteria. So just by hopping to that completely different part of the planet, slightly different terrain type, we started finding it. Yeah, I'm actually on the same 5800X. So CPU's fine for this. Certainly, I wouldn't have wanted to try it on the system I upgraded from, which is a 4590K and a 980 Ti. The 980 Ti might have been okay-ish, but I think the CPU might have struggled. It was sort of getting to that point where 4-core, 4-thread just wasn't cutting it. Because I mean, like even your sort of standard now, you know, base gaming CPU is like 6-core, isn't it? 6-core, 12-thread. So like the mid-range one that everybody has essentially in a mid-range system. So it was about 5 years, so it was time to upgrade. So I have. Well, there's some more bacteria. Yeah, this is definitely a better place to hunt for bacteria mats than. Yeah, that's the really weird thing about GTA 5. Like, I was playing it on the PS3 when it first came out. You just don't realise. It's just hard to remember just how old GTA 5 is. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same spec, Mr. Sinkhole, apart from the GPU. So, yeah. See, the thing is, if all of it's that old, Dave, it does make sense to buy pre-build. I don't know like what your stance is on that, but it's the only real way to get hold of any bloody parts at the moment. I mean, unless you want to really. I've pulled the gear up, so I just went pre-made for mine. From overclockers. They're not the cheapest, but you know the system was properly made when it came and it works. So. Plus it has a modern 30 series GPU in it, so I can't really complain, can I? But yeah, I mean the whole thing really kind of needed doing, so it made sense to go through a pre-build. Actually run to the back of the ship, not the front. Still getting confused by that. I can't believe the absolute fucking cheek of them porting it to the PS5 and Series X. And obviously it's just to keep GTA Online going and the money flowing in from that, but it's truly amazing. The absolute cheek of doing that. But yeah, I mean, I remember the discussions about the PS3 having a better frame rate than the Xbox 360 version of it because of the way the PS3 could stream off both the disc and hard disk at the same time, but because the Xbox wasn't guaranteed to have a hard disk, it couldn't follow that approach or something. And this is back in the days where the Xbox 360 may not have had a hard disk in it, something like that, or it couldn't, or the architecture was different, so it couldn't do it as well or something. That's that was the kind of silly stuff they were having to do to get it running properly on the PS3. And I think, like most things from that era, if you look back on it now, you think, how did I ever play a game? Well, I mean, it's like the PS2 era, or even the PS4. It's like, how did I ever play this and think it looked good? Whereas at the time, it did look good. Right, let's find this bacterial mat, get it scanned, and then we'll go and find a more interesting system to scan. Don't like these planets where there's like you've got this ground and then you've got all these like blotches in the sand or ground or whatever, because they look like they could be scannable stuff. Ooh, bounce. Well, there is supposedly a GTA 6 in production, but I mean, it'll probably be like the amount of time they take. It'll probably be like the end of the PS5, Xbox Series X's lifespan, and then they'll be porting it to whatever the next generation ends up being called. I'm intrigued to see where Microsoft goes next with their completely fuck-headed naming scheme. I mean, you say that, Manco, but writing is, you know, GTA. Anyway, I mean, the thing is, they'll release the port. It'll sell millions. It'll continue to sell millions. And yeah, that's how it'll go. Let's go down in this crater. It's a really good job I've got shields on this ship. There's a lot of that goes on when I'm flying low over the surface. Just bouncing off the shields. I'm kind of half looking at the chat and half trying to operate the lateral thruster in a sensible way. Come on, find me a bacterial mat. There's some. Finally. Don't unsuitable terrain me. There we go. I like the way you can land the ship at some quite jaunty angles, as long as the ground's flat underneath it. Some of the angles I've managed to land it at on mountainsides and stuff, trying to hunt down organics. I mean, I suppose that's not too bad. There we go. You see what I mean about the organic surface scanning stuff being potentially taking a long time, and that's probably earned me 300,000 credits, 400,000 credits for doing that. Whereas if I just stayed in orbit, scanned and then fucked off, I could be scanning stuff that's way more profitable now. Like I say, this is why I think either the amount of time it takes to scan stuff is going to come down, or the amount of money you get for scanning stuff is going to go up. And obviously, if they put the money up, it'll be like exploration. They'll also increase the amount needed for each rank, but I just think it doesn't fit in with the rest of the game. I'm not saying it should be as profitable as something like mining, but it's it doesn't really sort of fit in properly at the moment with everything else. In my humble opinion. Right, let's have a look where we're going next. Here we go. We've got another nice blue star, class A. Oh, don't plot route. I've lost my route. That doesn't really matter. I'll make this the last one anyway, unless it's something boring, then I'll do another one. I think. Okay, we've got quite a lot here. It looks like somebody may have been here before me, because there's stuff showing up on these sensors. Yep, we ain't the first people here. Gas giant. Okay. Very, very occasionally, very rarely, you will also get, as well as planets, there's like, you can find stellar phenomena. It's like proper, almost Star Trek type things. You found like crystals and stuff floating around just in the middle of space that you can go and have a look at and scan and make money for discovering. But they're extremely rare. I've only come across a couple of them in the last couple of months in this sort of whole flying around scanning stuff piece. So normally you're just scanning planets, but they do pop up occasionally. They're always fun to find. Right, let's have a look here. Here and over here.
System scan complete.
Right, let's have a look on the map, see what's going on here. Okay, anything terraformable? Probably not. Yeah, it's all too close. Oh, okay, so the moon's terraformable. Not had a terraformable moon for a while. Was that a class 2? That was a class 2 gas giant. So those are worth about... Well, I can tell you what they're worth about because I've got ED Discovery in the background. Where are we? Class 2 gas giant, body 4. So they're worth 25,000 when they're just pinged, like it is at the moment, or this one would be worth 250k if I wanted to scanned it. So they're worth a little bit. They're kind of almost nearly worth scanning, but they're still not anywhere near as worth it as what I'm going to scan now, which is a terraformable planet, or moon in this case. So anywhere you see this body is a candidate for terraforming, that means money. So what's 3A going to be worth if I scan it? Let's have a look. 3A? Yeah, 3A, terraformable. So again, just to give you an idea of the multiplier, it's currently worth 130 with that scan. If I go and map it efficiently, it'll be worth 1.3 million. So it's like, again, 1.2 million for flying over there and doing a scan. Money, 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 money. I was like, oh, you only have to fly somewhere and scan things. NFT. Selling my exploration scans. That's probably why I'm getting so much money for them. They operate as NFTs on the blockchain. Fucking NFTs. So it's not worth scanning the main planet because that'll be worth maybe a couple of 100,000 credits, even though it's not terraformable. Exactly, it's not a big get money fast scheme exploration at all. I mean, you do make a bit, but you know you've probably been out for days or weeks scanning stuff when you get back in and do the sales, so you're talking maybe a few 100 million at the end of a long run. And whereas, like you say, mining or trading, you're gonna do that in no time. I mean, even combat, you're gonna easily make way more than you make in exploration. And like I say, back near the beginning of Elite Dangerous, it used to be even less money paid out than it is now, so it used to be even worse, but they did improve that somewhat. Okay, so we've got 3A. I don't think there were any organics, were there? So I didn't check it for organics. I'll find out now when I ping it with probes. Okay, so I'm not going to get the full value of that because I'm not the first discoverer, but I am going to be the first mapper. Well, assuming I get back and sell the data for it first. So actually, it's not going to be 1.3 mil. It's going to be. Wait for ED Discovery. I know it is 1.3 mil because that was giving me the value before. Oh, okay. We have biologicals. I see. This is the this is the famous bug that people have been complaining about, and it is a bit shit. I absolutely agree with that. So you can see like the repeating patterns because of the way the new planetary terrain generation works in the heat map here. So yeah, that's not really ideal. And obviously because your brain's very good at seeing patterns, you do, even if it's not as obvious as that, you will start spotting them. So that's something that's been widely criticised. I come from an era where you would have a texture on the floor and there'd be a grid. So I appreciate it's shit, but it could be worse. I just let Frontier off with everything because, you know, I don't really care that much. It also, I suppose, comes back to the fact that I got the lifetime expansion pass like way back at the beginning during the just after the Kickstarter. So I haven't just paid 40 quid for this, so I'm not just angry because I've just paid 40 quid for this and it's a bit shit. I kind of put my money in a long time ago to get this, so there's no sort of I've just paid for this, you've ripped me off, which obviously, to be fair, a lot of people are probably feeling because they've just paid for it. So I don't know, it is what it is. But screaming at Frontier that, you know, that you've killed the game and this, that and the other isn't going to solve it, sending them your issue logs and your bug reports and so on might help. I'm not saying it will, you might just be screaming into the void, but it's more helpful than screaming on the forum at them, is my view. But, you know, I'm a Frontier shill apologist now for saying that. Yeah, I mean, have you tried the on-foot stuff since this latest update from this week, Dave? Because I found, like I say, it did improve it. Even mine, that was kind of alright, it did improve it quite a bit. So I don't know if you've tried the on-foot stuff since then. Or if it's still knackered, it's still knackered, but... But, I mean... Thing is, it's always been a bit janky. There's always been something broken about it. This isn't like new for Elite Dangerous. And yes, everything should work perfectly. But the reality is, it never has with Elite. So I just don't get exercised about it anymore. No, I'm not really that bothered. The thing I might be interested in is if there's a point to like sneaking around and thieving stuff. Because like first person games I tend to like play as sneaky. Ooh, Bacterium Tailor. I don't think I've seen any Bacterium Tailor. That's a new one. Or Tailor. But like first person games I prefer things like Dishonored or maybe some Sniper Elite or Rich gets salty with you when you say Half-Life 2's good as well, so it's easy to make Rich salty. Hey, each to their own. The problem with Elite Dangerous in general is always going to be the fact that it's all procedurally generated. A procedural generation will only you know, it has its limitations. It can populate the entire galaxy with content, sure, but is that content going to be original or interesting or necessarily good? That's a harder proposition to get right. And I mean, even the sort of bread and butter of Elite, the sort of procedural generation of the galaxy and the way it procedurally generates star systems, some of the individual star systems, they don't make sense. Stellar Forge, which is like the name of their technology that does all that generation, or what they call the sort of group of stuff that does that, has a real propensity for binary planets. And it also does a weird thing where if you have like a high mass star, you end up with a system full of stars rather than planets. So I kind of can guess at the way it might work in terms of like there's a mass budget for the system and then each body has a mass budget and it's percentaged out and all that good stuff to work out the mass of the system, but I I think the safest way to go about it is not to think about it too much and just think, well, they are trying to recreate the Milky Way galaxy as a one-to-one and all the rest of it, but again, it's procedural generation. There is going to be the odd edge case where it just goes crazy. And in all honesty, those are the interesting systems to find, where it's basically gone completely mad and done something really weird, rather than the systems that are like, just, here are 10 ice planets around a Class M star. Here are 10 ice planets around a Class M star. Here are 10 ice planets around a brown dwarf. So, I mean, it depends what you want. I mean, it's getting compared to No Man's Sky now, saying like, though, there's only a handful of, types of biological stuff to scan and all the rest of it. But the procedural generation really is in the terrain generation. The effort has gone into like the on-foot missions and stuff. It's not got into creating No Man's Sky but in Elite. The focus on No Man's Sky is running around on the surface. The focus on Elite, quite rightly, is flying around in the spaceships. Or it has been up until this point anyway, so it was never going to be like No Man's Sky but in Elite. Whereas with No Man's Sky, if you want a compelling space battle, well, you can be waiting a long time. Whereas in Elite, it's obviously, that was the thing it was designed for. Dark Cloud, yeah, I played the first one actually. I quite like the first one. Wasn't there like a village building theme that went along with it, or am I thinking of something else? There was that section of games where you kind of built like, you went into dungeons, but you also like upgraded villages or something, or your own village. I always quite like that combination. There was that, and I think, was it a game called Terranigma on the SNES? It might have been Terranigma. I know there was a game called that, but I can't remember if it had that same mechanic. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I quite like that about it. Look, the best JRPG ever is Final Fantasy VIII, and anybody who disagrees with me is going to get banned, so... No, I love Final Fantasy VIII, in spite of its many flaws, but it's Final Fantasy VIII. It will always be the greatest game ever. My favourite Final Fantasy, anyway. Did I finish scanning that? Oh god, I can't even remember now. I'm too busy talking about Final Fantasy VIII. I think that was the last scan, wasn't it? Just get out the bloody ship and remind myself, honestly. We're into, like, senile adventuring now. Yes, I did scan that. Right, let's go. Already analysed. Yeah, there we go. Everything's scanned. I didn't really need to land and do that. It's... Mind you, I've not seen that bacteria type before, so maybe it'll be worth a bit more. You see, again, I started playing 15, and I just started getting into it, and then started playing this, and it's just gone by the wayside. Because I bought 15 years ago, like not too long after it first came out on PC, and just didn't play it. And then I tried it for a bit and didn't really get into it. I did like the tutorial, and I was like, this is shit. But like, I got a little bit more into it this like third time of asking. But again, Elite's just taken over. The other thing I started playing was Control, because that was on Game Pass, and I started playing it on the Series X downstairs on the sofa, rather than up here in the office where the PC is. And that was kind of alright, and then I kind of got bored of that. I was kind of getting bored of Control, because it was one of those things where the setting was quite interesting, but the gameplay itself wasn't really grabbing me. It was like, you walk into a room, you shoot some... Ah, fuck. I messed that up. You walk into a room, shoot some aliens, shoot some whatever, astral beings, and then you look around a bit, and then you walk into another room and shoot some astral beings, and then you walk around a bit, and then there's a boss fight, and then you walk around in a new area. Apparently it has been like improved upon, Manco, but I don't know how true that is because I didn't play it at release. I didn't play it when it came out on the PC. I haven't played it since, really, apart from a bit at the beginning. So I am going to have to, at some point, get back to Final Fantasy 15, but I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know if. I don't know when. What's the next thing that's coming out that I might want to play? I don't know. Avant-Garde. Is it like every other Final Fantasy game? In fact, I'm going to spoil it for myself now, so I'm not going to ask you. But every other Final Fantasy game generally ends up with you basically killing God. Well, certainly that's what I recall from 13, is essentially, and now we're going to kill God. Actually, Final Fantasy 8's a bit like that. And now we're going to kill God. But from the future.
Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, you see, now that sounds appealing to me. I like it when a JRPG at the end just goes, what the fuck? That's why I like Xenoblade, because at the end Xenoblade just goes, what the fuck? It just gives no fucks and just goes, and this is what this is all about. And you're like, but that makes no sense. Excellent. And then Xenoblade 2, so they kind of changed the definitive, well, they did change the definitive edition of Xenoblade to tie it in more to Xenoblade 2 as well. I want to remake of Xenoblade X or Cross or whatever you want to call it. I wanted to remake that because it's only ever been on the Wii U, and all the other good games from the Wii U have been re-released on the Switch. If they released that on Switch, I'd buy it. I might even make time to play it. That's what it is. It's like a boy band road trip, isn't it? Yeah, like I said, I really liked some of the elements of it. I was kind of getting into it, and then, like I say, I just, for some reason, decided to start playing Elite again, and then Elite just swallowed everything, all my life, all my time. You just went, woof. That's it now. You have no time to do anything else but play Elite. So I'm just going to scan this planet before I log out. So this will be the last bit. So I've been going for 2 3/4 hours, which is more than long enough for a little Elite Dangerous session. It's tea time. And then maybe I'll play some later, or maybe I'll do something else later. I mean, let's be honest, I'm going to play some more Elite later on. Let's not come out with nonsense now and claim I'm going to do something constructive. Come on, spaceship. I could stare at the wall in silence and play Elite at the same time. If I move the second monitor, I get a good view of the wall where the monitor is. Have an enjoyable cock, Dave. I assume that was cook, and I assume you're going barbecuing. I'm going to scan this planet, and then I'm going to probably do something similar in terms of tea. Well, not barbecue, but find something to eat. So here we go. We have 7 probes for this one, so it's a bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 round the back. 6. Now, let's have a look. I will see who there is around doing stuff on the old Twitcheroony that we can pass the love on to. I may go into Elite Dangerous, seeing as everybody's here for Elite Dangerous. See who's got just a handful. I've got somebody here. Loop of Shame. VR making a push to get to Colonia. That sounds like it might be an interesting thing to go and have a look at for everybody if you're sticking around on Twitch. So I'm going to fire up a loop to a raid to Loop of Shame. And thank you very much everybody who raided in and stuck around, and everybody who regularly comes along and sees my nonsense. And I will try and see you some other time maybe if I'm mooching about, exploring and streaming. But yeah, that's all from me, so thank you very much. And off we go.